Welcome to today's AzNHA speaker series, our education series. We are so happy to have you here. My name is Elaine Poker-Yount. I'm one of the board members, and I'm the chair of the education committee. And so we're so pleased to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. So I have a couple of announcements. Our AzNHA conference is scheduled on Friday, August 23rd. Please plan to join us. It is an amazing conference and it gets better every year. If you'd like to exhibit or you'd like to be a sponsor, please visit our website at www.aznha.org to get some details and to register. Let us know. We're getting things together. Attendee registration opens May 1st, but we are taking applications for vendors and sponsors prior to that. Our next month education meeting is scheduled for March 20th, and our guest speaker will be Bill Lusk from Memory Lane Games. It's an interactive program that you can use with your clients and their families, and it's really pretty cool, and they give you data on usage and stuff. It's amazing. So let's get started. Please remember, if everybody stay on mute to avoid noise interruptions during our presentation. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of this presentation. You can send your questions through chat at any time during the course of the presentation today. If they seem like we should interrupt, then we'll interrupt. We're recording this session and it will be posted on the website for future reference if you want to refer back to it. So the speaker is an absolute favorite of mine. His name is Benjamin Surmi. Benjamin is a social gerontologist. He's passionate about designing surprisingly delightful user experiences for elders, their family members, and care professionals. He drives Koelsch Community's Innovation Lab, focusing on wellness and lifelong learning, employee and family education, workflow design, and culture initiatives. We brought Benjamin back because he presented this past year at the conference. I've also hosted him before at one of my conferences. This talk is amazing. It really is George Jetson brought to life. It's really cool, and Benjamin is a most engaging speaker. We welcome you, Benjamin. Please, everybody, help me in welcoming him. You will have a delightful experience today.
Very kind. Thank you so much, Elaine. This is a fun topic for me because I feel like it has a lot of potential to impact the lives of so many people that we work with every day. So this was originally designed for aging life care managers with the Aging Life Care Association. They had a conference out on the West Coast, and many of these aging life care coordinators, perhaps some of you on this call are also part of that association. They used to be called geriatric care managers, and they're doing what many of your team members are doing, even if they don't have that title. They're going into homes, whether they be assisted living, memory care, independent, a suburban apartment, a suburban house, and they are trying to solve problems for families. But a lot of them are using some very basic tools, like they're using Meals on Wheels, transportation company, a home care company, home health, and maybe a financial bill payer person, like maybe a Mediset, right? They've got a fairly small group of tools that they're using to help families plan their lives when their loved ones going through some pretty challenging times. I know many of the folks on this call are very innovative and have a lot more tools in their toolbox that they're using, but for many geriatric care managers, aging life care coordinators today, the toolbox is not as big as it could be. And so we're often making decisions that maybe we could make a different decision if we had a bigger toolbox. But the challenge is there's so many tools now to choose from that it's getting more and more difficult for aging life care coordinators, folks in the role of helping families plan what the next steps are with their loved ones' care. It's getting harder and harder to keep up with all the tools and then to know which tools to use at the right time. So for me personally, as I study this, I wanted to put together a toolbox that was organized in a way that I could go into the toolbox and pull things out for specific families. So today, my goal with us today is to go through 5 things. Why is age tech a critical part of the care manager's toolbox? In what situations can age tech impact clients? What is in the age tech toolbox? How does a care manager evaluate tech options for specific clients and specific situations? And then how does the care manager stay up to date with ever-changing options? Hopefully we'll have time to do that in the next 59 minutes. All right. What is in the Age Tech Toolbox? Before I answer that, though, would love to hear from you on this call through chat. What are situations you commonly deal with right now? What are some of the complex challenges that you deal with that you're planning with families? Please share in the chat. What are some of the things that keep you up at night? What are some of the situations that you have with family? Is it, we're getting a lot of calls because the husband is pooing all over the house and they don't know what to do. Is it dad's falling all the time and we can't figure it out? Is it I can't get any sleep? What is going on? Put that in the chat, please, because that will help us in our conversation today. And let me see if I can pull the chat up here. I'm just going to wait, by the way. I'm not going to move forward until someone puts something in that chat. So what are situations you commonly deal with right now as a care home leader, as a home care leader? What are some situations that your families are calling you for? Key reasons people even call home care in the first place. Think of your last 5 leads. Why'd they call you? What are the situations that you're commonly dealing with? Dad leaving the house to hit the backyard where there's a pool. He loves it there. Okay. Dad is going to be in a lot of danger in that situation. So they're calling you for monitoring. Falls. Yep, that's a big one, whether it be out of memory care, whether they say you're moving mom out of this memory care unless you get someone in here to make sure he doesn't keep falling, right? That's another big one. Companionship, checking in on them. The family's like, we're busy, we're running, we got kids, we're in school, we got careers. We just need to check up on mom, right? Just make sure she's doing okay. Anything else? Mom is constantly shopping online and spending tons of money. Okay, that's when I have actually a tool for you today to help you with that. That is a really, really big challenge. You don't want to take away their independence, but they're having a lot of, they're gonna ruin their life basically. Depth perception issues. Yeah, that's another one where they're falling or they're about to fall because they can't see right. Okay, so what might be the cost of not integrating age tech? That's the question we're going to answer next. Overwhelmed and need respite care, Laurel says. Yes, they just need a break. Okay, so let's look now at potential cost of not integrating things from the age tech toolbox. And when I say age tech, what I mean is tools that have been developed in the last 5, 6, 7 years. There's been about $1 billion or more that has been poured into the age tech industry of trying to create tools that will help us care for seniors, right? Wherever they be in the world, wherever they live, help care for them. So I'm specifically talking mostly about tools that integrate some sort of high-tech option in this conversation. There's a whole other arena of tools that I just don't have in this presentation that are also a part of this toolbox, which are low-tech tools that are made out of rubber, tools that are made out of cloth. There's some in here, but not as many as I would like. So when I say age tech, though, most people, what they think of is the technology industry that we're used to, focusing their attention on aging and aging challenges. So here's the potential cost of not integrating some of these new tools. One is excess disability. Some of these tools can actually help our clients live more independently on their own. If we don't encourage the family to use these tools, then the person may end up being more disabled than they need to be. For instance, I'll show you some tools later that have to do with feeding oneself. If I can give someone a tool so they can feed themselves, that is the most important thing I can do as a aging professional, right? As an aged care professional. I'm not successful if my tool is to give them a caregiver to do it for them, if there's a tool that can help them do it for themselves. So that's number one, is they may be more disabled than they need to be. Number two, they may have higher costs of care. For instance, if we move someone into assisted living when they really could stay in independent living at a lower cost, when we move someone from home to independent or assisted or memory care or nursing care, when they could stay at home and not have to pay those costs, when we need 24 hours a day of home care versus 12, these are high costs of care, and sometimes technology can be the tool that prevent someone from needing to spend as much. And for those of us in the industry that own places or own agencies, there's a whole market that we want to serve that cannot afford our 24-hour care or cannot afford to live in maybe our highest level of care. And so if we have tools that can help them take 8 hours of our home care program, that's better than 0 hours because they can't afford it at all, right? If I can help someone stay in independent living at a lower cost than having to move into assisted living at a higher cost, that's a win for me as a company as well. Low self-esteem. Many times the things that folks are dealing with, they're dealing with depression, they're dealing with a sense of helplessness, a sense of loss. Anything I can do to help them feel more independent, have more control over their life is a game changer. And this is both the person who is aging and maybe disabled, and as well as the person caring for them, because the person caring for them can feel out of control and can feel like I can't have my life back. I'm just spending my whole mind space on this problem. So sometimes the technology may or may not help the person with the disability, with the dementia, with the challenging situation. It may actually be helping the carer, the family member who is pouring themselves out in peace of mind. It may also help with disconnection from relationships. If we don't offer certain tools, the person may be more isolated than they need to be, right? They may, for instance, they may be told that the best solution is to move into this memory care that's 4 hours away because that's the one they can afford, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, sometimes using these tools, maybe they could have stayed where they need to be, or maybe when they move, they can stay connected with those that care about them and those that are part of their life. Moving unnecessarily, we may be moving someone from one care level to another, from one home to another home, to one city to another city, when they don't need to if we have the right tools in place, or the move can be delayed. And the iatrogenic death. Dying from being in a healthcare institution, dying from being in the hospital when they didn't need to be there. This is a big one, right? Many elders die because they're sent to the emergency room. If they had prevented that emergency room visit, they would have not died from iatrogenic death, from death caused by the healthcare institution that was meant to heal them. And sometimes tools can prevent people from getting in the hospital in the first place. So let's take a step back and see what situations can age tech actually impact our clients, because they can't impact everything yet. Age tech tools can help us stay connected and more fully alive. They can answer that question or meet that need. They can reduce the amount of home care I need. Some of these tools can help me not need 24/7. They can help me deal with 12 or 8. Help me support my parent at home alone. My parent is home with me, or the parent is home on their own, and I'm trying to provide care for them. I need support in this. Some tools can help with that, and some can help us live independently wherever I call home, right? If I'm living on my own, I want to stay on my own, sometimes tools can help me do that. It's not ready if I'm a danger to myself. So if I'm a person who does dangerous things and I'm going to hurt myself, these tools are not really going to help you. I cannot follow verbal cues. Most of these tools cannot really help in those situations. There's some tools that can kind of help a caregiver, help someone who may fall into this category. But as far as living independently on your own and the tool helping you do that, it's not going to work. And then no one can help me manage the technology. So if I'm a caregiver or I'm an elder and there's no one in my life that knows how to plug in something to the wall, change batteries, make sure it's connected to Wi-Fi, buy the thing and set it up. There's no one in my life who can do any of that. If the home care agency I work with doesn't have a service that offers help with setting up technology, whatever, then this is not going to help me, right? My name is Benjamin, social gerontologist. I'll put this up at the end. As I go through this is my cell phone. And you may see a technology that you're particularly interested in. I don't necessarily have the names of websites on this slide deck. So what you do is you take a picture of what I have on the screen and then text me like, oh, please send this to me. I want to know more. Or I'm also going to send a review of half of these things. I'll send in a PDF to Elaine, and Elaine can share with you. And those do have the links and the websites. But if you see something you like, take a picture, text me. I'll be sure you get a link to it. I work for the Koelsch family. Very thankful that they give me an opportunity to do education. They run 39 communities across the United States, 7 in Arizona, and I'm proud to be a part of their team. They create innovative memory care spaces in various cities. I love these memory care spaces that just bring so much reminiscing. I help lead Koelsch Innovation Lab. We do things like spark new ways of doing things, such as purees that actually look like a burger or look like pasta, but someone who needs pureed diets can eat that. At the building I'm standing in right now, we're testing this product that helps people get balance in 10 minutes or less, 5 days a week, and their balance just goes through the roof as far as their ability to stand and to move and to get rid of walkers and canes. Pretty cool. Another one we did recently that we're doing is we're bringing Humanitude from Europe and Asia to the United States. It's a fantastic care protocol that's changing lives across the ocean, and we don't have it here in the United States yet. So we're working on bringing that to the United States. Incredible results with refusal of care going down with Humanitude, an amazing program we're bringing to the United States. So Koelsch Innovation Lab, we do fun stuff. And I love being a part of that. What is in the AzNHA toolbox? All right. So I categorize it in these 6 categories. Better body, tools that help me live more independently, live without pain, live less disabled. Better body tools I put in that category. Then I have safe life. These are tools that help me live more safely on my own. Less falls, less fires. Friendship, these are tools that help me stay connected to people I care about. Getting around, tools that help me get from point A to point B. And then at home, tools that help me find the right place to be. Well cared for is the toolbox that is more about like, I'm caring for you and it's challenging for me to care for you. So how can I care for you easier? So we'll go through a few examples of those tools. They're not exhaustive. You'll think of tools that I don't have here, but it's just to give you a taste of these different drawers in the toolbox. All right, number 1, how do you currently use AzNHA in your practice? If you would put that in the chat, I'm going to keep going, but please put that in the chat. If you're using any tools that you consider AzNHA in your practice, please put that in the chat. I know some of you probably use some sort of iPad that lets the elder communicate with you and request help or services from you, and maybe lets them connect with their family. Some of you might have some sort of special metaset that connects to your home office, or your home office can see that someone's running out of pills. I don't know what exactly you use, but please do share in the chat if you as a home care agency, our leader, have integrated certain tools that your customers can subscribe to, or that you set up for your customers routinely. Please put that in the chat just to get a sense for kind of where you're at in kind of your knowledge of this space and how you integrate it into your practice so far. And then I'm also curious, not only what tools do you use in your practice, but what tools do you set up or implement for your clients? So I'm curious, like, oh, clients call us and they're like, hey, can you have that home care, have that caregiver come in and set mom up with Wi-Fi so she can call her family? Or can you set them up with a special lift, a toilet lift, right? Can you do that for us? We don't know how to do that. So please, in the chat, if you're doing anything. And if you're not, I'd love to see some. We don't offer anything except for caregivers. Like, that's important to know. So that helps me think through how to best serve you in this lecture. And then if you could create a new tool, create, based on all the challenging situations you and your caregivers deal with, if you could create any tool on the planet, what tool would you create? I'm curious. Please, I'll go over those questions again. How do you currently use AzNHA in your practice? What tools do you currently implement for your clients? And then if you could think of anything, what would it be? So Elaine says chronic care management and fall buttons. So I'm assuming that means your practice actually implements those things for people. You help people with chronic care, remote management probably, and then fall buttons that allow people to say, I've fallen and I need help. And then Alzheimer's ID bracelets, getting people connected with that. So if they wander away from home, someone can find them, someone can get them where they need to be. Tom says electronic caregiver that monitors BP and other vitals. So sensors, these remote sensors, that's definitely a bigger and bigger trend, right? Is the more we can connect with what's going on with that person, even when our care staff is not there, the more we can offer creative options for them, the more we can give them opportunities. We can tell them, hey, we could help you get to the doctors for this. We could help you with this particular situation. Great. We'll keep them coming. I'd love to hear what you're doing because I think it's important to know what's already happening. Elaine says that they share about technologies, but don't necessarily provide them. So might point people to different providers. Something just to be thinking about as we go through this toolbox today is what role can age tech play in actually creating more billable hours for your agency? Age tech has a ton of potential for home care agencies because your team is the one that's going in and telling the family this is what this person needs to be safe and secure and helped and well. And when you're able to offer them not just a caregiver coming into the home, but we also provide a service that will set these tools up for you. We will monitor these tools for you. We will, you have a whole new host of options that you're offering to your clients. You also can often help families who would otherwise not be able to use home care very long because then they have these tools available to them. So you are starting to see this trend among certain home care agencies where they're integrating a toolbox of tools that can help their clients in a variety of situations. So let's start with Better Body. All right, Better Body, these are tools that help us live more independently, help us be less disabled. So there's a whole group of wheelchairs that are coming out that are just fantastic. You remember the old days, right? Where our electronic wheelchairs were these beasts that you literally had to buy a crane, put it in the back of your truck if you wanted to be a mobile person who needed a electronic wheelchair and get around your community, get around your city. You had a major problem. You had to buy special vans that would let you drive into them if you wanted an electric wheelchair. We are now talking about a time in history where you can put this in the overhead bin of an airplane, right? This is what this is designed to do. You can put it in the overhead bin of the airplane and be able to get right onto the plane and have your electric wheelchair with you. I mean, this is a game changer for people. This is another company that is really thinking through all the social situations people go into and how they don't want this big, fat wheelchair going with them into the dining room at a nice restaurant, into the retail establishments that often are very tiny and you can't get around very easily. Trying to help say, okay, we've tried ADA. ADA is helping us somewhat with, wheelchair accessible spaces, but a lot of spaces aren't truly wheelchair accessible, especially if you're in an electronic wheelchair, motorized wheelchair. So some of these companies are just really thinking through how do we make it more attractive? So if you need to be in a chair, you're not feeling embarrassed by it. And it's also helping you stay as connected to your world as possible. I mean, we're talking stuff that you might even use as a tourist, right? As a tourist, you might use some of these things. You might pay money to sit in one of these things and you wouldn't feel embarrassed at all. And nobody's going to even think, oh, that person has a disability. And yet, so many of us are used to tools that shout, I'm disabled to the world. So there's this whole new trend of trying to create products that don't shout, I'm disabled and I'm very old when I use the product, right? This is an example of that trend we're starting to see, and companies saying, you know what, we need to make it fashionable and we need to make it something that even people without a disability would want to use. That's the way forward. And so you want to look for tools like that, have that in your mind when you're looking for tools to suggest, and they may not be available yet, but you want to be looking for tools that speak fashion, that speak style, that speak anybody might use this, not just me because I have a disability. That's the future of adaptive apparel, adaptive equipment, is things that make everybody's life better, not just someone with a disability. Seismic powered clothing. This is clothing that is designed to, it's battery powered, energetic, energetic clothing. Let me see, I think I have a video to show you. Here we go. May not hear it, but you can see it.
When I close my eyes, I see the trail, and I'm done wishing I was back out there.
Done thinking those days are behind me. I needed a shift, and that shift was seismic. A fusion of apparel and robotics. A drive to get up and out there. The confidence to stand tall. And the energy to keep going. My feet are back on the trail, carrying me onward to what I love. Finding that perfect shot. That feeling, that's seismic.
So yeah, you're seeing a whole trend, right, in trying to create products, clothing that actually helps me. That's trying to help me do better than I could without it, right? That's what you're trying to see. Here's another example of a tool that helps people who have lots of tremors and it's very hard to feed themselves.
Simple tasks like brushing our teeth, taking a shower, and eating are part of our everyday routine. But uncontrolled hand or arm twists, bends, or movements that may be related to conditions such as cerebral palsy, spinal cord injury, Huntington's disease, Parkinson's disease, or post-stroke deficits can make these activities frustrating and stressful experiences.
What about this one?
Working with patient advocates and their families, the Liftwear team developed a new technology to make the various tasks of daily living second nature again. We started with empowering our users to once again feed themselves with ease. The Liftwear Level is an electronic handle that recognizes what position your hand is in at all times and works to counteract any unwanted movements so that you can relax and enjoy the company of those around you instead of worrying about the task at hand. The Liftwear Level Starter Kit includes the leveling handle with a hand strap, a soup spoon attachment, and a charging cord. Charging the level is easy.
So that was an example of, again, helping the body work better on its own. This is an example of another thing to help with tremors. It's a special glove. So it would not only help with eating, but also with writing or carrying things or lifting things to one's shaving or doing any other kind of thing where you really can't have your hand tremoring. You can see that's before. Now they put the glove on and the hand is much more steady. Okay, this is a special pair of glasses. Glasses aren't special. This little thing clips on right here, and you can ask it questions. So this is for people who are visually impaired. They can ask it questions like, what's in front of me? And it will tell them, it will describe what's standing in front of them. One door to your left, there's one door to your right, there's a bathroom in front of you, right? You can ask it to tell you who you're looking at. So it will whisper in your ear. It'll start to memorize the people that you meet so that it can tell you who you're looking at without you having to wait for them to say something. And you can ask it things like, read me the first article on this piece of paper, or I'm looking at a sign, tell me what the sign says, and it will read to you what you're looking at. Laurel Smith asked about the special underwear and what it assists with. It is assisting, I believe, with back pain, as well as just some people get very weak with standing a long time, or taking walks, and they're needing to lay down frequently. This kind of apparel is supposed to help kind of, hope that helps answer your question. So better body, those were just a few examples of many new technologies coming out in that drawer of the toolbox. Help me live more able-bodied than I could be without the tools. Safe life is focusing on things like, how about falling? How about avoiding a fall? This is a airbag that is going to go off because this gentleman, it senses this gentleman is falling. Right? That can make all the difference between death, permanent disability, or being able to maybe cope with that fall, maybe get back on our feet afterwards, right? That one fall to the hip can change everything for someone's life. And so if we have tools that can help someone who's a little unsteady but needs to stay independent, because remember, putting someone in a wheelchair, telling someone to sit around all day, that also damages them so much. And so if they can keep walking, keep moving, but have that protection, that can make all the difference for somebody. As we talked about earlier, some of you are using sensors in the home to help give your team feedback on how someone's doing so you can make better decisions in your care. There's several toilet sensing devices out now that are doing a variety of things. They're looking at the heart now while you sit on the toilet, right? They're looking at blood oxygenation from the toilet seat, right? Because what a lot of these companies are dealing with is people don't want sensors all around them. And they don't want to have to put things on them. They don't want to have to remember to stick something in their body, right? And so these are passive sensors that you don't even realize are there. They're just in the toilet seat, and they're providing information to the families. Things like, does this person have diarrhea or constipation? Do they have dehydration, right? Do they have a UTI? Some of them are sticking into the toilet so they can actually measure things in the toilet, not just things you can measure from sitting on the toilet. So there's different styles, but the trend here is, how do we create sensors that are passive, where people don't even know or remember that they're around them? This one even helps look for colorectal cancer. I mean, how cool is that? Okay, siren socks. These are socks that you wear that monitor for the possibility that you're going to have ulcers on your feet because you're a diabetic. These are machine washable. They report back to a team of nurses and doctors for you. Those nurses and doctors will reach out to you if they think that you have something going on that might be heading towards an ulcer, things you can do to prevent it from ever happening in the first place. These socks, Millibotic socks, they are tracking for people living with dementia whether or not there are signs of distress in that person emotionally. So hopefully you can deal with the distress before it becomes claustrophobic, right? That's not the right word. Before it becomes a catastrophe. Before it becomes a catastrophe, you're able to start changing the situation, calling the caregiver, like, hey, whatever you're doing, stop. Like, this is not going to go well, right? This is a sock that's designed to try to help you avoid those huge outbursts. Other things in this toolbox, right? The Safe Life toolbox are a variety of watches and other devices that are doing various things. These, and I'm not going to go through each one and all their uniquenesses, because they all do different things. But between them all, what you're finding is these watches and these other types of things that connect to the body in some way are able to tell you if someone has fallen, able to tell you that someone has left the premises, left their neighborhood, they are out of a specific zone, able to text you as a family, let you know where they are in the world today, able to let you talk to the person wherever they are in the world. You can just talk from your phone to their watch, right? You're able to do a lot of tracking now and a lot of communicating with someone who may forget to wear a phone, or who may forget where they are, who may need help, or who may fall. All those situations, these tools are now able to look a lot more discreet than they used to. They're not these big things hanging around your neck saying, I'm disabled, everybody, right? They're very discreet, and you don't necessarily even know that someone's wearing them, right? Some of them are even like jewelry, like this. You know, it's crazy how they're really these designers are putting these things into things that just, they don't even look like a device. We're talking about GPS shoes. Maybe you've seen these before. These are for those folks who aren't going to wear any watches. They're not going to wear any pendants. They're not going to wear any jewelry. They're not going to wear anything. But they need to wear shoes before they go outside, right? And so you're able to get a text message going, Dad just left the city block where he's allowed to be, right? And this is for someone who won't wear even their shoes, right? But maybe they wear a jacket. You can sew it into their clothes, right? So if you can just put it in their clothes, they don't even know that they're being tracked, right? So this is, again, for those customers who have these challenging situations with loved ones or going places that are going to be unsafe for them. The GeoBit would help with something like that. Or losing their walker in their massive assisted living and you have to go find it all the time. Listen, it'd be really good to tape that to it. Okay, EverSafe. This deals with safety financially. So not only are you keeping people safe from falls, safe from being lost, but we need to keep people safe financially. So EverSafe is designed to help the family or the home care agency be able to keep an eye on the finances without necessarily having the fiduciary privilege of moving money in and out of those accounts. So yeah, if my dad gives me access to his bank, like it's pretty easy. But if I can't have access to my dad's bank, but I'm still responsible for my dad, then I need tools that can monitor and let me know what's going on so that I can guide my father, right? Dad, I see you paid the same bill twice this month, right? Dad, I see you took out $1,000 from the ATM. You haven't taken anything out of the ATM in a year. Like, tell me what happened, right? I can have some conversations with Dad because I have the extra set of eyes. Careful is the same kind of tool, just a different app, and it offers the same kind of things that the other one did. It is looking at those transactions and using AI to figure out what maybe we need to tell them. It's saying, hey, here's what we're expecting that he should have paid a bill. That bill hasn't been paid yet. He's going to get kicked out of his house if he doesn't pay that bill, right? It's giving the family an opportunity to interact before or prevent something from happening. It also helps with things like, hey, there's a lot of us helping Dad out. I'm taking care of Dad's house cleaning bill this week. You don't have to, so it can help that circle of family deal with finances all together from the same page without giving everybody the Chase account bank access, right? But everybody, all the sisters and the brothers and the spouse can all be on the same page and know what's going on. TrueLink, this should be helpful to our friend who spoke up earlier. I think that was Elaine. Elaine, you spoke up earlier about the mom constantly shopping online, spending lots of money. So TrueLink is a Visa card that is designed specifically for our audience, right? Our customer base. You give them a special Visa card, but then from your end, as the care manager or as the family member who's responsible, you can block cash withdrawals or block phone purchases. You can block them from doing certain things, or say they can take this much money out of the ATM and that only, right? That way the mom can still be independent. Maybe she's driving. Maybe she goes to Safeway every other day, right? Maybe she goes to Costco. Great, that's fine. But we don't want her scammed out of all of her money. She needs it for her care. We don't want her taking money out and just buying boxes of home shopping channel stuff. TrueLink helps with these situations. And again, from a selfish business perspective, if my client runs out of all their money, they're not my client anymore. And so if I can make sure my client has this in place, they're my customer for a lot longer. Elephant. Elephant is a unique tool to help with phone scams. Because it's one thing to help with the internet scams, things like that, but it's another thing to help with phone scams because they're getting very sophisticated, right? It's, hey, it's your granddaughter. Yeah, I'm in China. Yeah, I was on a mission trip, and yeah, they're not letting me leave, and I need a lawyer. Could you pay me some money, right? Like that's what our elders are having to deal with, is people who sound like their grandkids calling them and think, Grandma, can you send me money? How are you going to stop that? Well, what Elephant does is it lets calls through from the actual family members, right? People you have in your contacts that are safe contacts. Anyone who's not in that list, the AI begins to listen to the phone call And if the AI recognizes patterns of speech that could be a scam, it three-way calls in the responsible party or your home care manager and says, hey, you need to listen. So then you're able to listen into that call and verify, is this actually a real deal or is this a scam? So that can, again, that can change someone's entire future, having that help. Another thing in my Safe Life toolbox is stop kitchen fires. All right, there's now a variety of ways to do this. There's two different methods. One is one that you plug the oven into this device. This device is sensing for the smoke alarm. If it hears the smoke alarm, it shuts off the stove. There's another one, I don't know if I have the picture. Yeah, I do. iGuard stove. This one is a movement sensor. So if there's no more movement in the kitchen after 5 minutes, it shuts off the stove, right? Which would be annoying for a lot of us because we might be, boiling stew or something. For many of the elders that we serve, though, they're cooking something, it's like a scrambled egg. Like that's all they're cooking. They're not cooking long, stock in a stock pot for 2 days. They're not doing that kind of stuff. And so this is very helpful to prevent that stove, that whatever's on that stove from catching on fire, because the chances are if they have some sort of light dementia and they've left something on the stove, it's going to burn. So it's going to turn off that stove for the person. Again, tools like this can sometimes mean all the difference between a home care agency being able to offer some home care to help with ADLs, but they're safe at home and the home care agency is not there, versus saying, you know what, it's 24/7 care, they're not safe, or you have to make a big decision here. It may be all the difference. Something like that can be all the difference. Friendship. Okay. So I'm going to speed through this because a lot of us are already aware of all these things, but I'm just going to show you basically how I've broken down the decision-making process for myself when I'm consulting with the family. I can navigate a tablet or smartphone with my fingers. If that's the case, then I would probably use something like the GrandPad, right? Very easy for an elder to use. If they can use a smartphone or a tablet easily, this is really easy for the elder to keep using. Super easy to charge, you just set it on the base. Oscar, same kind of thing, really designed for the eyes of an older person and to lock it down so they don't do things that are damaging or make it easy for them to get to the people they care about and not get confused. Bald phone is free. It takes over a phone and changes the interface so that it's very easy for the elder to interact with their smartphone. Raz Mobility, they offer a specific phone for seniors that's very easy for seniors to use, seniors who may otherwise have trouble with a typical iPhone or Android. I can navigate a tablet by voice. If that's the case, then you might want something more like an Alexa, right? But something like SoundMind is designed to make this whole process of using Alexa very easy. They basically created all the skills necessary so Alexa is able to work with that senior, reminding them to do important proactive health actions, behaviors every day, helping them remember things from their past because you kind of feed it a bunch of memories to begin with. The family feeds it a bunch of memories and then it prompts them with, hey, remember your wedding day. Here's a picture of your wedding, right? It kind of interacts with the elder, reminding them of their family and of their memories. And then instant video calling, you can basically call SoundMind. SoundMind sets it up to the Wi-Fi before it ever ships to the elder. The elder opens it, plugs it in, and it magically works. Imagine that. BrioCare, similar kind of concept, setting up Alexa, all the tools are there to make it really easy for the elder. I can navigate a TV with a remote. If I can't use a smartphone, but I can still use my TV, then you might want something like Independa. Independa, you control it from the smartphone as a care manager, but then the elder just interacts with it on their TV. What I like about Independa, that I don't like about a lot of their competitors, is it takes over the TV. And so you don't have to go to the input and go, oh, I need to go to input HDMI 1 in order to use it, right? It just takes over whatever you're watching on TV. It'll put up messages from a family. It'll say, your daughter's calling you, or your daughter has a message for you, right? It'll do all those things. It'll put reminders right on screen, and they can keep watching I Love Lucy, and it just shows up for them, and they can click yes or no. So love, 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 love that. I can push 1 or 2 buttons on a screen. If I can't run a TV, but I could like press the button on a screen, then you're looking for something like Comp, which looks like an old-time TV and allows family to call in and talk to grandma. right? Very easy. Sociabby, another tool like this that they've designed it to just sit next to her bed or her chair and calls in. You can just call in and talk to grandma, right? Makes it very easy, very locked down, no scammers, no one else can get in. Only the 3 people that you set up to be able to use the device are able to call into grandma and connect. Another great tool that also offers things like transcription so that it can transcribe what you're saying to grandma. It will put that right on the screen as you're talking to her so she can see what you're saying and not just be like, well, what'd you say? But she can see it and read it. And then this one is ViewClicks, comes out of Oregon. It's cheaper than all the rest. That's why I put it here. It's not as full body with as many tools, but it is, I don't know, like $199. I mean, these things are very inexpensive, some of them. And so they're definitely worth any person we're working with who really can't use a lot of communication devices. This is something that they could still use most of the time. I can answer a phone. I can't do any of those tech things, but I can still pick up a phone. Well, the challenge with that these days is your family doesn't use their phone anymore, right? Like all my kids don't use the phone, right? They all text. And so Family Jam, what it does is it automatically figures out when different families will answer their phone. And so it remembers to call grandma and the son at the right time of day. What it does is it pings them randomly and sees when they pick up the phone, right? And then it starts to learn those patterns. And so you're walking your dog at 7 a.m. in the morning, grandma happens also to be up drinking her coffee. It calls you at that moment because it knows that's the best moment to call you both. So Family Jam is kind of cool in order to actually make phone conversation happen in families where it's not going to happen without a prompt. And then the other option is telecom, which is really helpful if someone has dementia. Someone has dementia, you don't really always want to have them have a phone because they're calling 911, they're calling the front desk, they're calling you 10 times in an hour saying, hey, where's my, this thing? And you're like, I'm bringing it tomorrow, right? So it curbs all of that. It doesn't let you do repeated dialing. It shuts off the phone after certain hours of night. It reroutes 911, or at least lets you know if they've called 911. You can set it up either way. A lot of different tools, stops them from calling known scammers, known TV home shopping channels. Great tool, $50 a month, lets someone continue to have the independence of calling people and not saying you have to take away their phone completely, right? Very easy to use phones, I recommend, right? Easy to see the pictures of the family and just press the button and it calls the right family. And then of course we have people with dementia who don't know how to use a smartphone at all because it doesn't look like a phone. And so if you could plug something like this in from Amazon, that may let someone be able to actually talk to their family again because it feels like a phone, right? I can read or book or I look at printed photos, right? That's all I can do. I cannot use anything you told me about, but I could look at pictures. Okay, if that's the case, highly recommend Familio. We've implemented this at Koelsch across all of our assisted living and memory care communities. It's fantastic and it's available independently. I use it. I'm a personal subscriber with my own grandfather who has dementia. So what we do is as a family, we use the app. We text in pictures. We upload pictures through the app. Super easy, extremely sleek, easy to use app. And then it turns into a weekly magazine for grandpa. So we do nothing. We do no printing, nothing. We just post pictures on our smartphones from all of our family members across the United States. And grandpa gets a full color, personal to him magazine that has all kinds of pictures and messages from us across the country. It's just a marvelous tool. It's one of my favorite tools I've ever seen in my life. And then grandpa with his dementia, if I do a video call with him, he's confused because like, why is my TV talking to me? And then he forgets as soon as we're done. With this, it can sit on his desk, it can sit in his chair, he can look at it again and again. Family members who visit can pull it out and be like, oh my gosh, look, right? So powerful, powerful tool. Highly recommend Familio, and it's super cheap. I think the most expensive subscription is like $20, and that's for weekly magazines. And then you can do like bi-weekly magazines or once a month. So it goes down to like $7 a month, and it's super cheap. It's crazy how much they brought the price down. I can receive messages that play automatically. So I can't even press a button. I can't, nothing. I am on hospice. I am in a bed. I am feeling lonely. Well, we showed you these earlier Connect, Sociabby, and ViewClicks. These are all screens that have the option that you can set up where the family can just pop on the screen. see mom, talk to mom, and have an interaction, even if she can't talk back, or if she can talk back, but she can't do anything. So there really literally is no excuse on the planet for an elder to be alone without connection frequently from family and friends anymore. Like there's no excuse other than extreme poverty, maybe living in a rural setting that has no mailbox and no mail service. Like that's about it. Extreme poverty, no mail service. If you're not in that category, there's no reason for an elder to be alone in 2024 at all, period, end of story. Okay, sorry, I was on my soapbox there. Getting around. So getting around, there's not a ton of tools in this space yet, but we're starting to see some things. So access tracks is really cool. So this is very portable tracks that you can lay out the beach, camping, the park, to make it so, again, in 2024, there's no reason just because you're in a wheelchair that you can't go to the beach, that you can't go camping, that you can't go to the picnic with your family. Because until now, like if you're in a wheelchair and you're not super buff, it may be bumpy and rocky and you may get stuck, right? And so you can't go with your family outdoors to places. In 2024, there's no reason at all you can't go basically anywhere on the planet that you want to go. You're not going to climb Mount Everest with this, but you can go to places in nature that you want to go. Highly recommend having this as a home care agency, just even as an added benefit to be like, hey, if you ever want to go somewhere, we'll take you. We've got access tracks, right? Go Grandparent is another amazing tool. It's a little bit of a competitor with some home care agencies, so do know that. But again, maybe it falls somewhere in especially if you're an agency that doesn't do a lot of driving, you don't like your caregivers driving people places. Go Grandparent, what they do is they background check people who are already driving for Lyft or Uber or any of these new companies. And what they do, they background check those people, and then Go Grandparent gets a phone call from the elder, and the elder's like, hey, I need someone to pick up my prescription. Hey, I need some eggs from Safeway. Hey, I need to get to the bank. Go Grandparent then gets that out to the Lyft Uber network of background check vetted people and gets those people to take that call, those people to do that thing, provides up-to-date tracking for family or care managers on where they are, is the prescription almost there, everything, and does it all over phone. So it's pretty cool option. They also do have a agency option where the agency could kind of get those calls, manage everything, and use a dashboard where the home care agency could kind of basically send all those requests out to all those different companies. So that's another kind of concierge tool. Hop, Skip, Drive is a kind of like Uber, but with a caregiver to stay with you, right? So the person doesn't drop you off at the door of the doctor's office, they actually go into it with you. So they're not in every city yet. I believe they are in Phoenix, but Hop, Skip, Drive, their goal is to be like Uber, but to get you into the building, stay with you through your appointment and bring you back, because Uber and Lyft do not do that. At home. Okay, of course, we could talk about all the referral agencies and placement agencies and, all kinds of tools and directories. I'm more focused on innovative stuff here. So Nestorly is a tool that lets you say, I want a roommate, or I want to room with someone, but at least one of them has to be over, I think, 65. So the idea is that, I'm actually not sure about that, but I know what they do is the purpose is to help older people connect with either younger people or other older people who would like to share their big house that they live in. Because they don't need the whole house, but they could use some income from having someone live there, or they could use some help taking out the trash or doing a few things around the house. They don't provide care or anything like that, but having that extra person around, either bringing more income or some support. And so they do all the background checking, all the contracts, all the matching, same with Silvernest, same exact kind of concept, trying to take the risk out of sharing a home with someone else, trying to create the best matches, the safest legal documents, everything, taking all the pain out of it so that older people can do that. And again, this could be a good option. You're working with someone who really needs care. They can't afford as much care as they need. Maybe having a roommate in that third bedroom upstairs makes all the difference. And maybe that person does some dishes and some light cooking. The care agency provides the care. There's all kinds of creative ways that these tools open up possibilities for families. Silver Bills, this tool that I put it here under at home, because part of being at home is paying our own bills. Right? It's one thing if I move into a beautiful independent living like the ones that we provide, like the Park at Copper Creek, where we kind of take care of everything. You really don't have any more bills other than the one bill you pay every month. But if you're staying at home, you've still got a lot of bills. All your utilities, all kinds of different products, services. Silver Bills pays all those bills for the person, $10 to $99 a month. So much cheaper than daily money managers, accountants, all those other folks who try to service this population. Silver Bills does it. And unlike all the others, they compensate you if they make an error paying your bills. Well cared for. So these are tools that help people who care for other people do that better. Care Circle, Carely. I think some home care agencies are using this with their clients, but it keeps the whole family and the care agency and sometimes providers all on the same, all talking together, right? It's one spot where everybody knows what's going on rather than all these individuals trying to service grandma, and they're all doing different things and maybe even conflicting or giving different messages. Carely makes it super easy to all be on the same page together. And then we've got all the new kind of medication tools to help give mom medication in the safest way. Some of these have, motion sensors or face sensors or finger sensors to know it's the right person getting the medication, especially if someone's living in a home with other people. This can be really important, especially if opioids are in the mix, et cetera. Making sure it's the right person getting the pill and having some kind of track record that this person did indeed get their pills can be really helpful. As you can see, they're all different formats. These, open a specific box at a specific time. Others are dispensing into little packages or into little cups, all different types of ways of doing it. But the point that I want to bring out here is that we can really get customized in which med dispenser we're offering which family, right? Because that can change the whole dynamic. You're starting to see companies like FoodSmart come out. They're way more than just FoodSmart, but what they're doing is they're working with Advantage plans to be able to provide ready-made meals for our population. Some of them, it may be a specific timeline, like we'll do 6 weeks of meals or 16 weeks, especially if you've been to the hospital. But it's worth starting to ask whatever plan someone's on, what kind of meal delivery services are available for my client? Because there's a lot of companies in this space because they see it as ripe for investment, because these Advantage plans know that if people are eating healthier, they're going to have less problems and they're going to be in the hospital less. And so companies are starting to be willing to pay for even ready-made healthier meals. So something worth asking about. These sheets, peel-aways, what's interesting about them is they are waterproof and they're layered in 5 layers. These are the bottom sheets for a bed, and they're disposable sheets. And the idea behind that is sometimes someone is living in a situation where they are between caregivers, between people who can come and do a full bed makeover, but they soil the bed fairly frequently. These are designed to be softer than even most sheets, so they're not going to hurt someone who has some sort of wound challenges or skin challenges. Instead, they're going to keep them dry so that they do not have all kinds of skin issues because of being in a wet bed for a long time. If the person is able enough to just rip off one of the sheets, then they can do this independently. If they've got someone in the home who can at least just walk by the bed and pull it off and throw it in the trash and then put the blankets back over, right? We're able to make it to our next housekeeping visit or our next caregiver visit, which might be tomorrow morning. But who wants to sleep in a soiled bed all night, right? So peel-aways are to help in these situations, to make it easier, to make sure that bed is clean and dry immediately and not have to wait till a human can get there, do the laundry, change the whole bed. Let's see, I'm not going to do that. You've probably all heard of Dispatch Health. There's other companies really trying to get into this space of being ER that can visit at home. And sometimes, again, this makes all the difference for clients. And I think each dispatch is different in every state as far as how good they are, but you may want to explore your area and see the kind of reviews you're getting in your area. Because if someone can get their x-rays at home, if someone has had a fall and they can come and evaluate them at home, this can make all the difference between life and death, because we know our seniors die from going to emergency rooms. So if we can get the urgent care into the home, we're doing really good for our clients. And as you can see, they treat a lot of different situations. They come into the home physically and they treat in these very challenging situations. Jelly Drops. Jelly Drops is designed for people living with dementia who do not want to drink anymore. They don't want to drink water. Jelly Drops provide, one tray is about 8 ounces of water, but it's more like a candy. It's fun to eat, it's flavorful. And so it was designed by a young boy whose grandma had dementia. And you probably saw it on Facebook 5 years ago. Well, it's now reached the United States. It was only in the UK before. It's now available in the United States. You can order cases of these things for clients so they were not dehydrated. Badger is unique, and I could see this helping a lot of home care agencies as well. It is a closed caption smart badge. So the badge is listening to what I'm saying, and it is putting those as closed captions onto my badge. So the person I'm speaking with, who may have hard of hearing, or maybe they have a hard time listening to English but can read English, is able to interact with me. Badger is also either able now or will soon be able to translate. So you may be working with someone who speaks enough English that we can make this work, but if they could read what you're saying in their own language, you would be much better off. And then you can also turn it around where you, the care person, can see what they're saying and understand it in your own language. So check out Badger, because it is probably the way of the future for hospitals, at least, because you're in so many situations with so many different cultures, so many different hearing impairments, that if we can read what's being said, it's going to be safer for everybody. Yarrow is an example of adaptive clothing that, like I talked about earlier, is part of this trend to create adaptive clothing that anyone would wear, but is designed for people in wheelchairs, on walkers, people who have incontinence pads or incontinence briefs, who are changed frequently, or who need to change clothes without taking off their shoes. All those situations, companies like Yarrow are designing attractive apparel. These are buttons that are magnetic, right? You're not actually buttoning, it's magnetic, but it doesn't look magnetic. It doesn't look weird. It looks very fashionable. Joe and Bella, another, right? We're talking clothing that looks normal, looks very fashionable, and yet it's easy to take off, easy to take on, right? Easy to put on. Special zippers in unique places that can transform how easy it is for a care partner to help someone get undressed and dressed after accidents, right? Sometimes these things make all the difference between I'm depressed and I feel embarrassed and I hate when you come over to, oh, this is so easy, right? This is easy. So highly recommend thinking about adaptive clothing with your clients, because they can solve problems for your caregivers, and they can also solve problems, they can solve problems for your elders that you care for, but also your caregivers. Because your caregiver's life is easier if they have less moments of friction with their clients, right? They're happier about themselves as a worker, as a care partner. They feel more successful, and they're more likely to go into challenging situations knowing they have the tools to succeed. So how does the care manager evaluate all these options? Like, how do you figure out what to do in specific situations? So in 1 minute, I think we have 1 minute left, right, Elaine? I'm going to briefly remind you. Okay, so we talked earlier about the different ways of looking at like the friendship tools. Like there's 7 different categories I put them in. Well, you can use that same kind of thinking in your other toolboxes, right? You might look at your safety tools and go, okay, well, if a family member has dementia, I'm not using this one. If they have dementia, I'm using this one. So you may want to evaluate based on certain key criteria. This person falling a lot, are they alone, et cetera, right? You know, I look at things, especially the more techie it is, I need someone who has less dementia, or someone who has more experience with technology in their lifetime, right? So like I put all my different friendship tools on this graph to help me think through. If someone has a lot of experience with technology and lot less dementia, the tablets probably good for them. With a lot of dementia, really low technology experience, print is going to be better for them. Whereas if I've spent my life in technology and I still have dementia, I could probably still manage a screen even when I have dementia, because I worked at Intel, and I'm not going to lose those skills as easily. I ask these questions: how often are helpers present in the home? That's going to help me decide which tools to pick. I'm not going to pick a tool that requires lots of charging, lots of Wi-Fi connectivity, if there's very rarely someone in the home. How tech savvy are the helpers? I'm not going to pick a tool that requires switching to HDMI 1 on the TV if the person in the home is not tech savvy at all, right? I'm not going to pick a tool like that. How engaged and driven are family members? I'm not going to pick Familio, the print option where people upload pictures and it sends it to the magazine. If the family's down, the family doesn't care. The family is so busy or so overwhelmed that they're not even going to take 1 minute a week to post 3 pictures, right? I'm not going to choose that tool. A family that's very connected, very engaged, I'm probably going to pick a tool that really it helps them feel super engaged, right? Where will interaction take place? Is the interaction going to take place in the home, in the easy chair, in the bed, in the bathroom? How foolproof does it need to be? Is it something that needs to go for, no battery change for 6 months, right? Well, then I need to think about that. Maybe the GPS shoe is the best option. Maybe its battery life is way better than this pendant that needs to be changed every day or hooked up every day. So I got to think through all of those things. Elaine, I think we're out of time. If you want, I can go over a couple case studies, but otherwise, that is my presentation for today.
Unbelievable information. Every time I've seen you, I've never had the ability to just sit here and take it all in. Guys, I don't know how everybody's feeling about things. Let's start with questions and see where we go from there. I know for me, one question that I have, and you guys can just unmute and talk. I think the personal experience is a little nicer, but put it in the chat if you don't want to do that. But for those pill things, I haven't had a pill container in somebody's home in a while that was really easy to use. So I can think of a few people right now that are just kind of waiting on the perfect sort of assisted living situation. How do they, how easy are they to fill? And certainly somebody else would fill the med set, but how do you get them to actually take the pill? Is it just the alarm and then they have to do it on their own? Or is there some kind of backup system to sort of say, hey, you didn't get it, let's try again? Or does it buzz the family member, anything like that?
Yeah, so from my understanding, there's all different ones, and the PDF I'll send you has the list of some of the different ones. And
Okay,
so
great.
some are going to have a kind of communication with the family going, she didn't take her pills. Yeah, alerting the family or alerting the care manager at the home care agency, didn't take the pills, you might want to call her, right? So some of that family interaction built in. Others are going to also have the alarm to the person and the multiple triaging of alarms or louder alarms or different ways of communicating with the person. Okay.
All right. That's really great to know, because there were so many things in here that were so phenomenal. The Nesterly, I didn't know Grogo Grandparent did all those other things aside from just being able to get a ride like a cab with a telephone and not needing a smartphone. So that is all pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's see.
One of the things that is cool about them is they do offer kind of this concierge white labeling where you can be the one that your clients call. So they always think about you and they call you, but then you can kind of send the vetted drivers to go buy the prescription or whatever, because you may not have enough caregivers to send to go buy a prescription in the middle of the night.
Right. So that's a great thing. Anybody else have questions? All right. Well, this was absolutely incredibly fabulous. I'm so grateful that you were here and that you shared this, and I'm sure it gave tons of ideas to people and really gets you thinking about things in a different way, which I think is kind of nice. Anyways, on behalf of our entire board of directors, thank you for being here. Benjamin, thank all of you for participating today. I hope you go out and share. I will get the PDF from Benjamin. We will send that out.